Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're doing a top 10. Topic of the top 10? Top 10 Raw after WrestleMania 39 surprises, or WrestleMania 2023, however you want to look at it. This is my opinion of the 10 best surprises they can make coming out on that show. At the time of the recording, we're about a week away from it, so some of this is kind of being hinted at already, some of it not so much. That being said, let's jump right into it. Number 10, Kota Ibushi. I feel like it's a little bit too quiet on the Kota Ibushi front. He left New Japan a little bit ago, and we haven't really heard any rumors other than wherever he goes, he kind of wants to be a coach and help groom the next generation of wrestlers, and maybe that he wants a little bit of a lighter schedule. I do think the WWE can accommodate him on both ends. Maybe they put him as part of their NXT show most of the time and just have him come up here and there for the main show. They could do something easily, like announce on the Raw after WrestleMania that Kota Ibushi's coming in to be a trainer in NXT, and also he's gonna tour with Raw or SmackDown. I think he's an absolutely amazing talent, and I can't wait to see what his next steps are gonna be, because he's one of those guys that no matter where he goes or no matter what he does from here out, he's always gonna have eyes on him because he has the potential to be amazing anytime he steps through the ropes. They'll go from that to number 9. This one I think is almost going to be a certainty, and that's Pat McAfee coming back. Whether he comes back to say, hey, I'm going to wrestle a match, or I'm going to do commentary on SmackDown or Raw for the rest of the year until football starts up again. I really think the one thing that SmackDown has been missing, and SmackDown's been a fantastic show, if you ask me, it's been the best wrestling show of 2023 so far. But the one thing that could have made it even better, imagine if Pat McAfee was there through all of this, through all the bloodline stuff, the Sammy stuff, all of that. How great would that be, adding his commentary in? Pat's the kind of commentator that can make something that's normal feel great, and something that's great feel like it's a once-in-a-lifetime happening. I think I speak for most wrestling fans when I say that the wrestling world is better with Pat McAfee sitting behind the desk, and I can't wait till he returns. I'm going from that to number 8. This one's probably a bit of a long shot, Naomi. Recently we've seen that she has trademarked a name. It's Trinity something, I think Trinity Star, but I think that might be a smokescreen. If you really look at it, her husband works in WWE, her family members work there. It's really the only wrestling company she's ever known. I understand that she feels last year there was big issues that she had to walk out, but I've seen other wrestlers come back after worse. And I think Naomi would be a huge addition to the roster, whether it be here or if she does decide to go somewhere else. I'm just really excited to see her come back and wrestle again. I think she's one of the top tier women's wrestling talents in the world, and I definitely think she needs a platform for that. They'll go from that to number 7, Randy Orton. Now you may say Randy Orton's a megastar, why is he this low on the list? Well, if you're watching this video, chances are you read the Observer or at least follow wrestling on Twitter, or maybe follow someone like Sean Ross Sapp. So you probably heard the rumors that Randy Orton's coming back either at WrestleMania or the night after. So that would be the reason why he's this far down on my list. At the time I'm recording this, which is a Monday afternoon, the week before WrestleMania, there's been no official word. We might even get that as early as the Raw tonight announcing that Randy's going to come back, which if we do, I'm going to put it down here in the comments because this video is actually going to release a couple days after. You understand. Randy Orton's one of those guys that absolutely moves the needle, absolutely makes a difference. He would be a great opponent for Cody Rhodes coming out of WrestleMania, and he'd be someone that he could really solidify his championship run with. Because let's be honest, is anyone expecting Cody to lose at WrestleMania? The story's already there with the legacy stuff. So it'd be great to see him come in here, or even if he's a bloodline equalizer, because if you look at it, you have Cody to take care of Roman, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to take care of the Usos. Who's taking care of Solo? What if it's down to Solo standing there in the ring, look like he's about to attack Cody Rhodes, and out of nowhere, RKO. Just another thing and another way they could go with it. One of the all-time greats in my opinion. Definitely can't wait to see him come back. And go from that to number 6. Our first call-up of this list, Gigi Dolan. Look, I've gone on record several times. Gigi Dolan is one of my favorite women's wrestlers in the world right now. I love her style of wrestling. I love her character. I think she's an absolutely stunning, beautiful woman. To me, when I see Gigi Dolan, I see the same thing I see with a young Paige when they brought Paige up to the roster. She has that same kind of energy. And I think she's only scratched the surface on how great she's going to be. I definitely think if you give her the spotlight, give her a chance to run with the ball, Gigi Dolan's going to be one of your main eventers. If not in the next couple WrestleManias, within the next 5 years, she's going to have one of the main women's matches on a WrestleMania, because she's just that good. We're going from that, our number 5, one of Gigi's contemporaries down in NXT, Carmelo Hayes. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Carmelo, to me, is one of the biggest can't-miss talents they have. Now, I could have went with Braun Breaker here, and I didn't put Braun on this list at all. I think Braun needs a little bit more seasoning before he goes to the main roster. Carmelo, to me, is this generation's Shawn Michaels. That swagger, the talent, the way he carries himself, the way the fans react to him, everything about Carmelo Hayes reminds me of Shawn Michaels. And I think it's pretty obvious coming out of this weekend, one of the two of them is going to get called up, either him or Braun Breaker. I think Carmelo is going to be the guy. I'll be very happy to see it because I think, much like I said with Gigi Dolan, if you call up Carmelo Hayes, he's going to be a main event of WrestleMania within the next couple of years. We'll go from that, our number 4, a woman that was last seen in NXT, making her return, Mandy Rose. Look, I'm on record saying this a million times as well. I think the way that Mandy Rose got fired and them even firing her is ridiculous. I don't think she deserved it. I think she deserves a second chance. I think they need to bring her back, and I think that she's someone that will give the fans something to cheer for. If you want to bring Mandy back, you want to bring her back in front of the crowd that's one of the quote-unquote filled with the most smart fans. And that's going to be the Raw after WrestleMania crowd. That's going to be the people that have spent thousands of dollars for tickets to watch wrestling shows over the weekend. The same people, like I just mentioned earlier, that'll watch my videos, that'll watch Cultaholic, that'll listen to Sean Ross Sapp, that'll listen to Going in Raw, that have 5 or 6 podcasts for wrestlings they download every week. So they're going to know the backstory. So bringing her back, to me, really rights a wrong that I don't think that they should have done. I don't think they ever should have fired her. Bringing her back rights that wrong, in my opinion. I'd love to see her there. I think Mandy Rose was doing her best work before she got fired, and she definitely deserves a second chance. Now, going from that, our number 3. For this one, we're going with a return, and it's of a tag team. That's right, FTR, aka The Revive. There's been a lot of teasing, even on AEW television, on Dax Harwood's podcast, that their contract's up, they know where they're going, but they're not announcing it yet. To me, they kind of have to look at Cody Rhodes as a template. Maybe they left and they didn't feel like they were being used as much as they could, but they got to look at the way that Cody's been treated. And you got to think that's on purpose as well. WWE has now set the precedence that they're not going to punish you for leaving, making a bigger name of yourself, and coming back. And absolutely, FTR has made a bigger name of themselves since leaving WWE. They've solidified themselves as, if not the best tag team of this generation, in the conversation. It's either them, the Usos, the Young Bucks, the Briscoe brothers, or the New Day. It's one of those 5 as the tag team of this generation, and you can make a solid argument that FTR is the one. They have the most accolades over the most amount of companies. Most of the other teams have only strived in one company or maybe 2 in the case of the Young Bucks, whereas FTR strived in NXT, WWE. They've won AAA championships, IWGP championships, AEW championships, basically championships everywhere they went. To me, it wouldn't be my favorite destination. I think it would hurt AEW more than it helps WWE, but it would definitely help WWE getting another great tag team in their ranks. I think it would be a great move for WWE. I'm not so sure if it's a great move for FTR. I think they need to stay in AEW because AEW definitely needs that star power, but they got to do what's best for them. I'm going to continue to cheer for them no matter what they do. I think it'd be an awesome return for them to show up. Now, go from that on number 2. Speaking of returns, probably the return that would get the biggest pop and the best reaction out of the crowd anywhere at any time, that's Big E. Now, I don't know how far along he is in his recovery. I don't know if he's cleared to wrestle. I don't know that he's ever going to be cleared to wrestle. The last we heard was they were going to do a review about a year out, and it's been about a year since we heard that. My hope, and maybe it's me projecting it because I'm a huge Big E fan, my hope is that he's cleared and he's fully able to wrestle, and we get to see the return of Big E so Big E can do what he does best and entertain wrestling fans like hardly anybody else in the world can. One of the most charismatic and enjoyable wrestlers there is in the world. One of the most beloved wrestlers there is. I don't think you could find any wrestling fan that thinks poorly of Big E. He's just a great wrestler. He comes off as being genuine. He comes off as being just a fun guy. I'd love to see him come back. Now, before we get to our number one, we do a thing here called the best of the rest. Basically, it's things that I considered for the list, but they didn't quite make it. First up, Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder. I think this is one that's kind of inevitable. I think Ryder or Cardona is going to come back to WWE. Mostly because his wife's there, he has a lot of friends there. Much like Cody Rhodes, I said before, he's someone that went out on his own and made his own thing and showed WWE that he's more than they ever were willing to give him. It would be interesting to see if he comes back as Zack Ryder or if they allow him to be Matt Cardona and be this gimmick that he's created for himself, which yes, it does have some of the Zack Ryder qualities to it, but I think it's a more serious version of Matt Cardona, more true to the person. I'd love to see him come back, whether it's just him or he brings Brian Myers with him, aka Kurt Hawkins. I'd love to see Cardona back in the WWE. It would be a great story, much like the Cody Rhodes one. And again, if you want to go that route, he's proven to be a quality heel. He could be a guy that says that Cody Rhodes, his best friend, left him behind, and now he's coming back to get his revenge on him. He'd make a great opponent for Cody Rhodes over the summer while he defends his world championship. Now, last but not least, on the best of the rest, the Machine, Brian Cage. It's been reported that Brian Cage's contract is up after the Ring of Honor show on Friday, and from everything I'm reading, I don't think he has a no complete cause. Brian Cage would be the kind of low-key pickup that they can make that would make a difference and also have the fans buzzing about what's going to happen on the show. He would be an awesome addition to any heel that's wanting to look to have some muscle. Maybe The Miz looking for some muscle, bringing him in. Maybe someone like Logan Paul brings him in to be his backup. LA Knight, I think he would work fabulously with LA Knight in a tandem. I think he'd be a great addition to the roster. I don't think he's going to move the needle as much as some of these other people, which is why he's not quite on the list, but I think he would work better in WWE than he has in AEW. To me, he has more of a WWE style, and that's not a knock on the style, it's just what it is. I think he would fit better there. Now, before I get to my number one, if you think I put someone too high, put someone too low, left someone off the list altogether, let me know what you think. Hit me up down here in the comments. While you're there, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, share the video. With all that being said, our number one surprise at the Raw after WrestleMania, Jay White. A lot of the stuff I've mentioned on this list has been very centered around Cody Rhodes and his potential championship run. Here's another guy that you could plug in, would make an awesome opponent for Cody Rhodes, while immediately showing his importance in the company, and hopefully they don't do another Bullet Club OC rehash with him. They just let Jay White be Jay White. To me, picking up somebody like Jay White, you're picking up one of the 5 best wrestlers in the world, and that's not hyperbole. This is the equivalent of being able to pick up a Roman Reigns, being able to pick up a Kenny Omega. You're picking up that level of star, and I think Jay White would make an amazing opponent both for Cody Rhodes. If you want to start him somewhere else, maybe Jay White and Seth Rollins, which I think would be fantastic. Jay White versus Walter would be amazing. Jay White versus Sheamus. I mean, there's matches all up and down both sides of the roster. Let's say you bring in Jay White, he comes in with Brian Cage, they come in with Carmelo Hayes, they start a faction, basically come in together. I don't want to call it anything club-wise, maybe the Switchblades, whatever you want to call it. They're the new top heel faction to take over the Bloodline, which splinters apart. Imagine Jay White coming in and being the guy that Solo Sikoa kind of becomes a bodyguard for, or being the next guy that Heyman mentors and takes with him. Because obviously, if the bloodline breaks up, Paul Heyman's not going to stay with Roman Reigns. He's going to go somewhere else. Wouldn't it be interesting to see him and Jay White together and what they could do together? I think it would be absolutely fantastic. I love Jay White, and I'm sitting on pins and needles waiting to see where he shows up, because I think wherever he shows up, he's going to be a big difference maker. Now, with all that being said, again, if you think I put something too high, something too low, leave it down here in the comments. And if you made it all the way to the end, let me know a surprise you'd be looking forward to on the upcoming Raw. It doesn't necessarily have to be anybody on the list. Maybe it's a minor one. Maybe you want to see Grayson Waller or Briggs and Stratton up on the main roster. Maybe you want to see Scripps up there. Let me know what you think. Hit me up down here in the comments. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and it's been another Heel Heat Top 10.